Hi, Casey Hibbert here with Rebuilding My Health. So, over the past few years, I bought probably about $2,500 worth of lab testing. That's worth of lab testing. Out of pocket, I probably paid about 600 because I have insurance, but still 600 was a lot out of pocket. So, when I heard about direct to consumer lab testing offering more than 100 biomarkers for $200 a year, I was curious about it because I've heard about direct to consumer testing. It's becoming more common and popular these days. So, here's what I found. First of all, if you follow my work, you know that I overhauled my own health over the last few years, and really how I feel day to day is the biggest indicator of how things are going. If I'm tired or having gut issues or whatever, like I'm pretty in tune to my body and pay attention to that. However, lab testing has been a close second to really check in and find out what's going on with myself. And typically, I get comprehensive lab testing about once a year with a nurse practitioner to check on my hormones and adrenals and some of the major lab markers that you would look at. So when I learned that Superpower offers 105 biomarkers in a membership, I wanted to see how that compared. So after signing up, I went to my local Quest Diagnostics. I was able to book that appointment through Superpower, find my closest lab and go ahead and book it for the blood draw. And they gave me all the forms that I needed. The process was super simple and actually had results back within 3 days. That was pretty impressive. And what impressed me most, and what I noticed most, was the big picture summary. So, first of all, my biological age came back 7 years younger than my actual age. So that was pretty exciting. And my overall health score on a scale of 1 to 100 was an 89. So I don't know. I was always kind of a B plus student. So still a B plus student apparently. And most of my biomarkers were in the normal or optimal range, which was really reassuring to see. It confirmed that the work I've been doing is paying off. And the panel included things like important stuff like iron and mineral levels, thyroid markers, sex hormones, cholesterol and heart markers, glucose and A1C, cortisol and inflammation markers, red and white blood cell counts, and quite a bit more. And interestingly, I actually had an appointment with my nurse practitioner to see her like the next week already. So this was a great opportunity for me to take those in and get her read on them. So Superpower had given me some evaluation and then I could also check in with my doctor on it. And I was kind of surprised. I thought she would say, this is missing a bunch of stuff that I would normally test, but it was actually only missing a couple of things that she wanted to check into, which were progesterone and B12. So those are add-ons that you can request through Superpower, but it wasn't included in my initial membership. So most of my markers were trending in a positive direction: iron and thyroid and hormones, glucose, inflammation. A few things did stand out though. My LDL, often called bad cholesterol, and then non-LDL cholesterol were slightly above optimal. So Superpower made a few recommendations for me along those lines, like adding fiber, reducing or increasing fiber, reducing saturated fat, maybe doing a little bit more aerobic exercise and such. My good cholesterol was really good. They were just suggesting some things to maybe reduce slightly elevated bad cholesterol. A few other markers were worth watching. My eGFR, and I had to look this up and actually I asked Superpower about it. It measures kidney filtration, was slightly below optimal. So not alarming, but definitely something to monitor. My nurse practitioner was not too concerned about it. I particularly appreciated the hormone check-in because I typically only do that once a year. So this was a mid-year check for that. And I found that my estradiol, which is a primary form of estrogen, was lower than the therapeutic window for symptom control. And I had been having some sleep issues, so perhaps that was related to lower estradiol. Also, my free testosterone was low, which actually I had stopped taking testosterone, which I normally take daily for 3 days leading up to the test. So that, yeah, that's probably why that was low, and kind of confirmed for me that it's good that I'm taking it and should be taking it. So interestingly, yeah, they pointed out that because Superpower had done a pretty extensive questionnaire before the testing that included what supplements I was taking. They pointed out that one of the supplements I was taking might be reducing the estrogen or estradiol levels. So that was an interesting clue, and something I could chat with my nurse practitioner about. So another thing that popped up that was flagged was cortisol. It was just a little too high. I do take an adrenal supplement, like adrenal cortex daily, but it sounds like I need to take a little bit more, an adaptogen, and maybe also, yeah, just pay attention to stress and things that might be raising my cortisol levels. So one thing I really did appreciate with Superpower that was fun actually to experiment with was I could see all my results in the dashboard, and there was an AI chat feature on there where I could go in and ask it questions for any of the lab markers, like, what is this lab marker? I don't understand what it is. What is the relationship, between this and that and such? Or I could ask them about some of their recommendations. So that is a fun aspect as well. So really, here's my honest take on it. Superpower doesn't replace working with a practitioner, but it did give me a really comprehensive look at my health mid-year for significantly less than I usually pay. I'm saving, hundreds of dollars in doing that and doing it outside of insurance. It confirmed my progress. It highlighted a few blind spots, small, tweaks that I could make to help. And honestly, I am sleeping better with some of the tweaks that I've made to improve my cortisol and then also to improve my estrogen or estradiol levels. So I definitely have noticed improvement in that. So yay, when I'm sleeping better, I have more energy and everything is overall rosier. So particularly if your lab work isn't covered by insurance, or you're paying out of pocket anyway, this could be a really good option for you. Or like I was using it as a mid-year check-in, or even like a quarterly check-in to see what's going on with your health. They also have more in-depth tests that could be helpful for you for things like heavy metals, environmental toxins, and mold, which could also be major influences on your health if those are have them in abnormal levels. So if you want more visibility into your health data without spending thousands on labs, it may be worth exploring Superpower. I put a link below. Let me know if you have any questions. Happy to answer any questions. Love to hear your comments below.